Well, hello, welcome to Sports Today. You're live with me, Rajashri Gupta. I have updates from both test matches in being played in England, of course, Southampton and Bristol. Southampton is where India are taking on New Zealand in the World Test Championship final. But before I get to how bad life forced early stumps there, I need to tell you that India women have forced a draw versus England. That was some resilient batting from the debutants after Shafali Verma scored her second half century on debut. India were well served, of course, also by Sneh Rana, who had an impressive outing with the ball. And in the second innings, really, she steered the Indian innings to safety with an unbeaten 80. And of course, thanks also due to Deepti Sharma, the other debutant who scored 54 of 168. That partnership along with Poonam Rao going a long way also to stave off defeat for India. Sneh Rana will be very happy, of course, with her effort there, low down the order. She came in and scored an unbeaten 80 and remained unbeaten and remained the uh, fulcrum of that unbeaten partnership there with Tanya Bhatia as India finished with 344 for 8 in the second innings with a considerable lead against England women in the last hour. Heading into the last hour, the lead had already gone past 150, so that would have anyway put the game out of England's context. Remember, at one stage, England were at the driver's seat first with the bat, led by Heather Knight. She scored. She was unlucky to fall short of 100 in her 100th match as England captain. Then India were off to a good start in response to England's first innings, 396 for 9 declared, but India women from 167 for no loss collapsed to 231 all out after that stupendous partnership from Mithali, beg your pardon, um, from uh, from Shafali Verma and of course Smriti Mandhana. So that was an amazing partnership. Shafali Verma, the 17-year-old debutant, unlucky to fall for 96 in the first innings. She came out and got some more runs in the second innings, scoring her second half century at 83 balls 63. But for India, the hero also in the second innings was Sneh Rana, who scored an unbeaten 80 alongside Tanya Bhatia. So all the debutants for India are really doing well. That's something that they take home uh, after this historic test match. India women, remember, were playing their first test match after 7 years. Deepti Sharma scored a half century. Shafali Verma, half centuries in both the innings. Sneh Rana, wickets in the first innings, runs in the second. And Tanya Bhatia, of course, also got some runs. And Sophia Dunkley also made an impressive debut for England. So that's the summary from the women's test match in Bristol. England 396 for 9 declared. India had scored 231, and after being asked to follow on, did much better with the bat and finished at 344 for 8 on the final day, on the fourth and the final day of this test match, which meant that it ended in a draw. So India should be pretty happy with that performance, especially from the youngsters. And you would want a lot more test matches, many more test matches for these young girls, Smriti Mandhana, Shafali Verma, Sneh Rana, Deepti Sharma. You'd want these girls to play many more test matches in the years to come. Well, then, coming to the ICC World Test Championship final, I can see Shalini Balagopal is already fuming on the ICC, but look, and she's also, of course, congratulated the Indian women. Well done, Indian women. Commendable effort. Absolutely commendable effort. Very well done. So there'll be lots of celebrations around that camp, I'm sure, with the younger girls. But that's that. We'll come back with more numbers and stats on the Indian women, on Sneh Rana, on Shafali Verma, on Deepti Sharma, and their impressive debut in Bristol, their impressive test debut in Bristol. And I'm sure you'll see a lot more of these girls in the years to come, in the time to come. Now, coming to the World Test Championship final. The first day was washed out because of persistent rain. The second day started on time. New Zealand skipper Kane Williamson won the toss, decided to bowl under overcast conditions. He went in with four paces plus Colin de Grande on the all-rounder, which meant there was no spinner. India got off to a good start. with the openers Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill. Rohit Sharma got out for 34, Shubman Gill got out for 28. It was a gutsy opening stand. It really was a very strong opening stand given the conditions, given the fact that India were playing against such a formidable pace attack in overcast conditions. Did not cede early wickets. Chiteshwar Pujara coming in at number three at the fall of Rohit Sharma's wicket took his time to get off the mark. 36 balls, he hit a boundary, but didn't quite capitalize. Didn't get too many runs. Got out for 8 of 54 balls, but well, that was the major key moment for New Zealand at that stage. Again, the condition was overcast. There was cloud cover, and in fact, Neil Wagner had just made an early breakthrough. Kylie Jamieson had then got another breakthrough, and Trent Bolt came in to remove Cheteshwar Pujara. But from there on, Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane were involved in a stubborn partnership. But before get to the bad light, conundrum, and everything that happened, Virat Kohli was unbeaten on 44, Ajinkya Rahane was unbeaten on 29, and India were 146 for 3 at stumps on day 2 of the WTC Final versus New Zealand in Southampton. That's the scoreline. But coming away from the scoreline, there was a lot. There were many more concerns about the first. Early tea was called because of bad light. Then the players came back, and shortly after, the players had to retreat. Then bad light stopped play. They returned to the field, and bad light stopped play again. So it was a start-stop kind of a final session there. And then there was a prolonged delay because of bad light, and eventually the umpires decided enough was enough, and there would be no more play on day 2. 98 overs was supposed to be bowled, remember, on day 2 after the entire first day was washed out. But at the end there, you got only 64.4 overs on the second day. So that's something that would frustrate both teams and fans watching in Southampton, fans watching on the television sets the world over. But there was there obviously there are again questions over the concept of the bad light rule. Should play continue when batsmen can visibly see the ball, when they clearly can see the ball? There are, of course, their own parameters. The ICC have the parameters in terms of what the umpire sees on that light meter, the reading that he sees on the light meter. And once they decided it wasn't good enough, off they went, and there was a long delay. Of course, fans and players were waiting in apprehension, waiting for the game to resume, but it wasn't to be. So that's all you got there on the second day of the WTC final. 64.4 overs, India 146 for 3 with Virat Kohli unbeaten on 44, and alongside him was Ajinkya Rahane. If I had to just sum it up, I'd say probably honors shared. It's only 64 and a half overs, but you'd say that honors were probably even at the end of the day, because New Zealand got 3 big wickets, and they got Cheteshwar Pujara. He's been a thorn in the side for Australia, and we all know what he's capable of doing if he sticks, if he digs in, right? So that was a big wicket for New Zealand too. But Virat Kohli was looking solid, as was Ajinkya Rahane, both captain and vice captain, in a very, very important partnership, unbeaten partnership that of 58 runs for the 4th wicket. And once these to come back tomorrow, they would want to press further ahead. So that's the update. The women's team, the Indian women's team, have drawn their one-off test versus England, thanks to the debutants mostly. Shefali Verma in both the innings, 96 and 63 in the second innings. Sneh Rana impressed with the ball in the first innings, got an 80, not out. Tanya Bhatia, Deepti Sharma, all of them got runs. So that is indeed a very, very happy and joyous moment in Indian cricket. I'll take a couple of questions on the show, of course, and a lot of them around WTC around the WTC final. Forecast is good for the remaining 3 days, but day 4 forecast is very dangerous. I think that's the big worry. Not well. It's overcast, yes, but you'd want to see and get as many. You'd hope tomorrow and day after you'd get some quick overs, but it was Uh, it was a strange kind of a day, because rain. A lot of play was lost to the entire day was lost to rain yesterday, and today probably you'd that's another discussion that needs to be had somewhere. Look at that rule around bad light. When should you go off? When should players go off? When should the umpires ask the players to go off? Towards the end of the day there, just minutes before they officially announced stumps, you could see the two umpires talking to a couple of the New Zealanders, and Kane Williamson was among them, and they looked visibly, um, I don't know what's the word. Was it frustrated, bemused? They had their hands in the air. I don't know what that was about. Of course, it's difficult to predict or interpret what that was, but dare I say that maybe Kane Williamson wasn't very happy with the fact that Stumps was called, uh, that early stumps was called from your television sets. If you were looking at Southampton, it looked all right, and some experts sometimes would say that it is not always as bad. Also, even when you're at the ground, it's not that bad when you're when the play is generally called off because of bad lights. But then this is what it is because of the rules. Shantanu Mishra is saying openers should be given credit for playing 20 overs and seeing off the new ball. It was the first test for both of them as openers in English conditions, and they batted well with proper intent. Absolutely, and that is exactly what we were talking about. Remember Saurav Ganguly on the Esalam cricket conclave on Aaj Tak India Today. He did say that the openers would have a huge role to play, and he also said that even if they don't get a lot of runs, it would be important for them to try and blunt that new ball and spend as much time as possible at the wicket, and that's what they did. Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill were both looking very, very good. Probably they'd be both disappointed with the mode of the dismissal when they got out. But for large swaths of the innings, they were so determined, so uh, disciplined with their shot selection. It really was a treat to watch these two against such a potent pace attack. Rohit Sharma, we all know what he's capable of. But the more you see Shubman Gill evolve as a player in different conditions, remember he made his test debut in Australia. He played test matches in India against England, and now in England at his very first outing. He's impressed. He's really impressed with that 28. I'm sure we. In fact, Sunil Gavaskar did say that on air. Shubman Gill has the makings of a good player, great player. In fact, that's huge coming from someone like Sunil Gavaskar. John Wright saying seems like 300 will be a power score on this pitch, considering we have good batting power down the order. Can we expect around 350? Well, before we get to 350, even 300 is some way off from here, John. 146 for three, Virat Kohli, Rahane. Again, super partnership under trying circumstances, difficult conditions. They just lost Pujara. The two of them had to get along, had to build that partnership from scratch. Especially Virat Kohli both of them. In fact, both Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane looking in good touch, good form, and uh, you'd expect them to press ahead as an Indian fan. But also we have to see what it holds like, what the condition is like, and how quickly they're able to score. Because tonight, with the ball was moving around, there was swing. They had to be watchful. They had to be circumspect. In England, of course, we've seen that in the past when it gets sunny, all of a sudden, you'd find conditions improve dramatically for batsmen. So we'll have to wait and watch and see how it is, what the conditions are like. Remember what happened earlier today? It was a sunny day. It was sunny and bright in the morning. By the time we came towards the toss, uh, it was overcast again. It was cloudy, and obviously the bowlers held sway. It's sometimes test cricket is like a game of chess, right? You have to seed and you have to um, kill your ego and grind ahead. When I would tend to agree with you that 300 to 350 would be a very, very good score if conditions stay like that. But really, as of now, we hope there is more. We hope that we get to see some more cricket and plenty of action between bat and ball between these two great teams. Any chance of having Sai Rohit Behra is asking, any chance of having two reserve days, having lost many overs on Monday forecast is bad as well? Well, no, there is only one reserve day for this test match. That was the rule. That was how it was designed. The World Test Championship final, just the one reserve day. In the future, for other World Test Championship finals, should they be looking at two reserve days instead of one? Well, that is a call that the ICC would have to take. That is a call maybe a lot of the member countries would want to pitch in with their opinions. But for this test match side, it was decided there'd be only one reserve day, and that's what it would be. There would be just that one reserve day. So no, there won't be an extra reserve day there. Arpanatta, the openers, and Kohli and Rahane showed great determination and grit. Absolutely, and we just spoke about that. Somebody asked that question. The openers were brilliant, and they were critical for India to have a decent day. And I think they did at the end of the day, 146 for three. In these conditions, India wouldn't complain too much. Of course, both sides would be frustrated with the bad line. New Zealand under pressure for not picking spinners. Well, Shane Warne was very critical of New Zealand's selection. Bharat Babu was asked that question about New Zealand not picking up any spinners. Ajaz Patel was their option; they'd left him out. But Shane Warne was pretty surprised, and he said he feels that this surface will assist spinners and slower bowlers in the time to come in this game. And India have two spinners, so that's something we'll have to wait and watch and see whether New Zealand made a tactical blunder playing by not playing a single spinner. Well, that's did New Zealand make again? Arpan Datta is asking the same question, but which Bharat asked. Arpan, I hope that's answered your question on the spinners. So that's something we'll have to wait and watch and see how the spinners do. Another one from John Bright. The Duke ball will not lose its shine. Thus, we will see all 80 overs swing. If there's a bit of spin on offer along with the swing, then New Zealand will feel pressure even to score 150 plus. That's right. In fact, we were talking, thinking of Rishabh Pant down the order because that's a good point. Um, in fact, I was just thinking back of the time when India would take the time to get some runs before Rishabh Pant would come down the order in Australia and go slam bang. But in New England, it would be that much trickier because the tube ball, like John suggested, it does retain its shine for a while longer, and it's not going to be easy for someone to just come out and start going start coming. It's not going to be easy to just come out all guns blazing, even for somebody of Rishabh Pant's caliber. It'll be a challenge, but he'll of course you'd hope he's up to the challenge and delivers the results for India. But again, the first 2 days has been so much about weather, so much talk about rain and bad light and start and stop sessions. It's the final session especially. There'll be we'll first keep our fingers crossed and hope we get enough cricket tomorrow. But the forecast for tomorrow is significantly better. And there was, by the way, there was some forecast for rain and there was forecast for cloud um, towards the end of towards the evening. And that's not really surprising. And even yesterday, before yesterday, there was some forecast for rain. So unfortunately, instead of 98 overs, you only had 64 on day two. Well, you have a reserve day, so keep your fingers crossed and hope we are able to get some more cricket in the course of this final. Well, Sachin Chaudhary saying, well played, India women's team. Absolutely well played. Great fight back to draw that game. They'd be very happy. I've spoken about that at the very start of my show. The women's team doing India proud by holding on to a draw. Thanks to the debutants majorly, Shefali Verma in both innings, and of course, Sneh Rana with bat and ball, Deepti Sharma and Tanya Bhatia also getting some runs there at the end. Well, that's all that I have for you. I'll just summarize the scores for you again. India in the World Test Championship final against New Zealand were asked to bat first, 146 for 3. Virat Kohli leading from the front with an unbeaten 44. Of course, runs from Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, and Ajinkya Rahane is also unbeaten on 29. So that's the summary. I'll be back with you tomorrow to uh, bring you more of the World Test Championship final, of more of the European Championship. Of course, we'll have something for you early morning and get some stats and numbers from the women's game. And of course, also get you some updates from the European Championship, where Germany and Poland are currently locked in battle. Remember, France had taken a 1-1 draw against uh, against Hungary, and Germany are leading Portugal 4-2 with 9 minutes to go to full time in that game of the European Championship. That's some game happening, right? So we'll get you plenty of updates. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this broadcast. Have a good night and do subscribe to Sports Today. Stay safe.